everybody, I am Moving with Movies and I am back today with an exciting video. Today's going to be my full 2020 movie collection and it's going to be as of the beginning of 2020, so everything I accumulated over 2019 is going to be in this video. I can't wait for you guys to see it, and if you noticed, my background changed a little bit because I had to remove all the movies, but I'm just so excited and let's get right into the video. No more talking, let's see the movies. The first movie I have is 127 Hours, a James Franco thriller drama that was super enjoyable to watch and really intense. I highly recommend you watch this. Even if you don't like intense dramas, I think if you like action movies instead of dramas, you'll really like this one. The next movie I have is a cute animated movie called Abominable about a Yeti who gets trapped on a roof of this girl, her apartment complex roof, and she helps him go back to Mount Everest, which is his home, and it's a really cute movie about adventure and family and where you come from, and everything about this movie was done to almost perfection, in my opinion. The next movie I have is a Disney classic, Aladdin, one of the greatest movies of all time, my favorite Disney movie actually, and anyone who hasn't seen this has to watch it. It is a classic. The next movie I have is the first Marvel movie in this collection, Ant-Man and the Wasp. It is pretty great, action-packed, better than the first, and a lot of fun. Next I have a dark comedy called The Art of Self-Defense about a man who wants to take karate lessons because he's scared of almost everything, and I think it's just an easy hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of just people learning karate, which I am really into. The next movie I have is one of the only origin superhero movies that I like, Aquaman. Really great costume design and action sequences, and actually a really great origin story. Like I said, I liked it a lot, and I liked the adventure in this movie. When superhero movies have adventure in it, like going different places, I'm really into that. The next movie I have is a movie that almost all of us watched just for Charlize Theron, Atomic Blonde, one of the greatest Charlize Theron movies because she's just so intense, and this movie is really action-packed. If you're an action lover, highly recommend Atomic Blonde. The next few movies that I have are the Avengers Infinity Saga, and I have Avengers Age of Ultron, I have Avengers Infinity War, and finally Endgame. I am so happy that I have all of these because they are probably the greatest movie saga, better than Star Wars, better than Harry Potter, ever made, and I just love all of these films, and everything about the Marvel Cinematic Universe makes me so happy and excited, and every time I turn one on the screen, I'm like, wow. The next film I have is the first Steelbook, Baby Driver, really intense action movie that I think a lot of people enjoyed, including myself, and I just think the Steelbook is really cool. That's why I got the Steelbook version. Ansel Elgort actually did a really good job, and I enjoyed this film. Next I have a really funny comedy with Jason Bateman, Bad Words. I have three Batman DC Universe movies, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, I have Batman Hush, and I have Batman The Killing Joke. All pretty entertaining movies, and if you like animation with action, highly recommend these DC Universe films. Next I have the first Disney remake in the collection, Beauty and the Beast. Pretty amazing filmmaking and costume design and set design, and not as good as the original obviously, but still a lot of fun. The next film I have is a drama of last year that really wowed me. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I ended up loving it. The Best of Enemies, a great movie, and I just think it's such an empowering movie, and Taraji P. Henson did so well in this movie. She was insanely good, and Sam Rockwell was just himself. He was Sam Rockwell and did an amazing movie with Taraji P. Henson that just really made an impact on social issues today and of yesterday. Next I have another classic with Tom Hanks. I say another because in my last video I did That Thing You Do, which was a Tom Hanks classic, and this one is big, one of the greatest comedies of all time. Time Change is when it was really first released, besides Back to the Future, and just an amazing movie. Everything about this movie I loved. Super funny. Tom Hanks is just Tom Hanks. Everything about him is perfect, pretty much, and he's probably the greatest actor of our generation. Next, I have a movie that I actually have not seen yet, BlacKkKlansman, and I'm super excited to see this. Next, I have another Marvel movie, Black Panther, really freaking amazing film with Lupita Nyong'o, Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Angela Bassett's in there, and it's just such a great acting ensemble that made the movie even better and action-packed, just like any other Marvel movie. Next, I have Blinded by the Light. This movie really was super mediocre for me, and I just can't say enough bad things about it because I was not a fan, I have to say that. Next, I have an enjoyable movie that didn't really make much of a difference in filmmaking at all. The Boss Baby. It's just an easy watch. The next movie I have is another Marvel movie that is one of my favorites, and unfortunately I don't have the other two, but I do have the best one of the series in my opinion, Captain America Civil War. One of the most action-packed Marvel movies ever, and I just really love this film. Everything about it was super cool and really flavorful action sequences, and everything about the movie, like I said, was great. Next, I have another Marvel movie, Captain Marvel, that was not the greatest, but it wasn't bad. This origin story I was not a fan of, but the action sequences and the comedy, like the banter between Brie Larson's character and Samuel Jackson, was good enough to keep the film going. Next, I have a movie that I vaguely remember watching, Casper. Although it is a classic and I do remember liking the movie, I don't remember anything that really happened in the movie besides there's a family and they move into a house with ghosts. The next movie I have is The Death of Superman. I wasn't a big fan of this just because Superman dies and I really like Superman, but you know, artwork on the back is really cool, and it wasn't a bad movie, it just wasn't my favorite DC Universe movie. Next, I have Deepwater Horizon, a really intense action thriller drama movie with Mark Wahlberg, and it's about, I think it's an oil rig that explodes and he has to save everybody, and it's just an enjoyable watch that isn't for the faint of heart. If you can't handle a lot of things, I wouldn't watch this movie, but if you like intense direction, I really recommend this. The next film I have is Demolition. I actually have not seen this one either, so I can't say anything about it. The next movie I have is Despicable Me 3, the worst of the series. I don't know why I don't have the other two, but I wasn't a big fan of this. Next, I have Doctor Strange, a really intense visual movie that really wowed me. I loved this movie, and I just love all things Marvel, and this was another great installment of perfection. Next, I have a movie that I also vaguely remember watching, E.T. Although this movie is like a classic, I don't think I enjoyed it that much, but I have to watch it again so I know what I'm getting into. The next film I have is one of the best of last year. Actually, no. 2 years ago, because last year was 2019. I keep forgetting that. 8th Grade, really great movie, really sad at times, but kind of funny at other times. Bo Burnham is just a great director and writer, and Elsie Fisher did a great job. This is just an easy, enjoyable, feel good, but also feel bad movie. The next two films I have are Fantastic Beasts and Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Both pretty good movies. I definitely like the first better than the second. And, I mean, it's a Harry Potter spin-off that I really did enjoy. And it's just, I love Harry Potter. I've always loved it. And this was just super enjoyable for me for that reason. The next film I have is yet another Tom Hanks classic, Forrest Gump. I actually have not seen this movie yet, so I definitely need to watch it. I think I'll watch it tonight, actually. I don't have anything going on, so I'll watch this tonight. The next film I have is the first 4K, I'm pretty sure in the collection, Ryan Gosling's First Man. Really, really intense visual movie, like Doctor Strange, very similar, with Ryan Gosling, who is a great actor, and I just enjoyed this movie a lot. The next film I have is a great animated movie from Disney, Finding Dory. I really enjoyed this film. Not as much as Finding Nemo, but I did like this. The next film I have is Fighting with My Family, a great comedy about a true story, actually, about a girl who comes from a wrestling family and gets her chance in WWE, and I just really enjoyed it. Next, I'm going to fire off some movies because I have been filming for a while, and I'm just going to fire off The Favorite, really good movie. Freedom Fighters: The Ray, not a good movie. Get On Up. I actually haven't seen this movie, so we went from good to bad to haven't seen. But I do plan to see this because I am really interested in what Chadwick Boseman has to offer as James Brown. The next film I have is another Steelbook, Ghostbusters, such a classic. I remember watching this for my dad's birthday at a drive-through, movie thing where we sat in the car. It was such a fun time, and I remembered how much I liked this. Next I have The Gift, a really intense thriller movie with Jason Bateman and Joel Edgerton and Rebecca Hall. This movie is just weird, and I love weird because weird movies are the best type of movies. The rest of the G section I will just fire off. I have Girls Trip, super funny. I have Godzilla, really action-packed. I have Gone Girl, really intense movie with Ben Affleck. I have Good Boys, super funny comedy. I have The Greatest Showman, really, really good musical movie about P.T. Barnum that I enjoyed. I have Green Book, a Best Picture winner that is my favorite of 2018. I have The Grinch movie that was very enjoyable, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that was pretty good. Not as good as the first one, but definitely a great watch for anyone who likes really comedic teams. I feel like you'll really like Guardians of the Galaxy. The next group of films that I have is my H section. I have Hail Caesar, which I actually haven't seen yet, so I can't say anything about it. I have Happy Death Day to You. I do want Happy Death Day 1 because I liked 1 better than 2, but still, this was super creepy, super funny at times, and just a really great watch all around. I have the only Harry Potter movie in this collection, the last one, Deathly Hallows Part 2, the best one, and I plan to get the rest, just not right now. Next I have The Hitman's Bodyguard, pretty funny actually. I really enjoyed this. Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson have such a chemistry that should be brought to screens more often. I have Hobbs and Shaw, which is a really great action movie in 4K, and I just loved the chemistry once again between Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham. I thought it was utter perfection that made the movie even more funny. And funny, action-packed, it's just one of those movies you put on with your buddies and just have a good time. The next film I have is a Oscar-nominated film, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Although I wasn't a big fan of this, I do see why it was nominated. It was a good way to close out the series. I just wasn't the biggest fan. The last movie I have in the H section is Hustlers, a fantastic movie about strippers who go on to steal from Wall Street guys and they just get rich. And everything about this movie was super interesting. I could not take my eyes off the screen because I was so interested in what was happening because I had never heard about this, even though it's a true story. And I just thought the chemistry between all the stars was really great and made an effective team. Next I have 2 different comedies that were just whatever. I Feel Pretty and Identity Thief. They had their funny moments, but at the end of the day, if I want to watch a comedy, I'm not going to grab these. Next, I have a 4K of Incredibles 2, a great animated movie that I feel like is probably the best superhero animated movie ever made. Even if it's not like popular Marvel or DC, Disney, Pixar has made their way with Incredibles that has made a ton of money, and I can see why. I love these films. Next I have Independence Day Resurgence, a bland action movie that didn't really mean too much to me. I put it on, I liked it, but that's pretty much the end. Inside Out, one of the greatest Disney animated films ever, alongside Finding Dory, other movies, and this was just super emotional and really feel good too at times. Like another movie I mentioned, I forget, I think it was 8th Grade. Really funny, really emotional, kind of sad, but at the end, a fantastic movie. Instant Family, a really great comedy about a man and a woman who have been married and they want kids, and they decide to adopt a 15-year-old, and they find out that they're actually getting 3 kids, and it's a comedy about a family who has to compromise with everything that they've got, and it's just a feel-good movie that doesn't really make you laugh too hard. There are funny moments in it, but I feel like this should be classified as a drama, more of a comedy, but I still enjoyed it. It's time for some firing off. I have Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, the best Jumanji in my opinion, although I did see The Next Level, pretty good, but I liked this more. The Jungle Book, a live action Disney film that didn't hit too close to home because I actually haven't seen the original Jungle Book, so this was just kind of a out of the blue remake. I have a series of Justice League movies after that. I have Justice League, I have Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, and I have Justice League versus the Fatal Five, and I think there might be one more, but I'll show that to you when the time comes. The next film I have is Keeping Up with the Joneses, a comedy that it wasn't too funny, but it wasn't too boring. It was kind of in the right spot for it to be pretty mediocre. Next I have Kevin Hart, What Now, a comedy special with Kevin Hart that had me on the floor dying laughing, and I just loved this. Even though it's not a film, I really enjoyed it. Next I have Kingsman, The Secret Service, and Kingsman, The Golden Circle, two spy movies that are super, super fun to watch. And I just liked everything about this movie, like to the action, to the characters. I did like this. Next I have a drama movie of last year called The Kitchen that I really enjoyed. Even though it got hated on by critics, I really, really liked it. Next I have Kung Fu Panda 3, although I don't have the first two, I have them on DVD. This was definitely my favorite out of the series just because I loved families coming together, and the animation in this is dazzling. Like the chi stuff that they do with their hands, incredible. Next I have La La Land, one of the greatest movies of all time in my opinion. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are perfect together, and for such a knockout movie, they did so well. Next I have the Lego Movie 2 on 4K. I don't have the Lego Movie because I have that on digital and DVD, so it just didn't make sense to get. Although I liked the first one much better than this one. I was not a big fan of this. The animation still surprised me. Next I have the Lego Batman movie, which was so much better than the Lego Movie and the Lego Movie 2, in my opinion, just because I used to be super obsessed with DC when I was younger. I used to have little action figures, so this hit kind of close to home. Next I have a comedy that, Life of the Party, it was really boring and not funny at all. Next I have The Lion King and the Lion King remake, and we can tell which one's better. This one is so much better. I'm kidding. This one is so much better than the remake, just like every other Disney live action film, because this is like when you buy it online. This is like when you get it in real life. Next I have a comedy that made me laugh a little bit. It's just a reverse Big that didn't have me laughing too hard, but didn't have me bored. Next I have Mary Poppins Returns, a very enjoyable movie about just Mary Poppins coming back to the kids she once like babysat before and babysitting their kids now, and it's just a great reminiscent movie. Next I have Mission Impossible Fallout, the best Mission Impossible movie. Great action, great mystery, like who's the villain kind of thing, whodunit. And I just really like this movie. Tom Cruise is still such a great actor even though he is getting old. Next I have another Robin Williams like classic movie, Miss Doubtfire. Such a just laugh out loud, feel good. If you could think of any way to describe positive or funny or happy, put it down for this movie. The next two movies I have are my N section. I only have two movies for it. I have Napoleon Dynamite and Nerve. Definitely, this one's better out of the N section. Although I did like this really great thriller drama movie, I enjoyed this more just because Napoleon Dynamite is such a funny person. Next I have Ocean's 8. Although it did not compare at all to the other Ocean's movies, I still really enjoyed this because Sandra Bullock is probably one of the greatest actresses of our generation. Just like Tom Hanks is one of the greatest actors, she's one of the greatest actresses, and she just made this entire ensemble better. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a piece of film that is utter perfection in my opinion. I loved this film because everything about it was so amazing. The acting was incredible, especially from Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he deserves that Oscar. And Brad Pitt did great. Margot Robbie did great. And honestly, I just think even the back cover of this, I mean, come on. This movie is just amazing. The Other Guys, I have had this movie for a while and still have not watched it, although I think I will like it because it's Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, and in Daddy's Home they were great, so I have no doubt that they'll be great in this. The Peanut Butter Falcon is up next, and it is another piece of utter perfection filmmaking, great directing, great acting, great comedy at places, and I just really liked this. Next I have one of the biggest letdowns ever, in my opinion, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. This movie was so disappointing on so many levels, not only because it was a sucky movie, but because it closed out Pirates of the Caribbean with such an upsetting kind of movie, and I just really didn't like it. Next I have Pitch Perfect 2, and I also have Pitch Perfect 3, even though I don't have the first one. The first one is my favorite. These two movies are still enjoyable. Next I have a fun film that I enjoyed watching in theaters, so I got it again on Blu-ray, and the more I watch it, I feel like the more I get bored during it, but I still like the banter between Ryan Reynolds' character and Justice Smith's. Pokemon Detective Pikachu, not a great movie, but still had a lot of great elements to make it pretty okay. Next I have another Tarantino film, Pulp Fiction, his greatest film in my opinion. Uma Thurman did great, John Travolta did okay, even though because I don't like John Travolta. Samuel Jackson did great, and I just thought this is another piece of Tarantino filmmaking that's perfection. So for my R section, I'm just gonna fire them off. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Ready Player One, and Reign of the Supermen. All pretty good movies in their own respect. For Ralph Breaks the Internet, I did enjoy it more than the first one, which is a very unpopular opinion. For Ready Player One, I just thought it was just really well made. The production value in it and the cinematography was just really, really cool. And sitting in theaters watching it in like 3D was just like almost too much to handle, to the point where I loved it. And Reign of the Supermen was just an okay movie that was a follow-up for the death of Superman, and honestly, it was just mediocre. Next I have Saving Private Ryan, a great war movie with Tom Hanks. I have The Secret Life of Pets, and I also have The Secret Life of Pets 2. Both pretty good movies. I did enjoy the second more than the first. And I have Shazam, although I feel like it would have been better if there wasn't comedy in it. I feel like it was trying too much to be funny, and it just flopped for me. Next I have Sing, a really great animated musical movie about a man whose theater is failing, and he decides to put on a singing competition, and by the end they just all perform their songs, and it's just a really good, great ending. Next I have my Spider-Man movies. I have Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and I also have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. All great movies. In my opinion, Far From Home out of these is the best, and it goes Far From Home, Into the Spider-Verse, and Homecoming, even though I highly enjoyed all of them and highly recommend all of them. Next I have A Star Is Born, great musical movie. Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, great action movie. Tag, great comedy movie. Teen Titans Go to the Movies, a great animated movie with action included and some comedy. Another Tom Hanks classic, That Thing You Do, great movie. There's Something About Mary, super funny, especially in Florida when she's with her roommate and their yapping dog. This Is the End, probably one of the funniest movies of the decade that I enjoyed so much, and I watched it with my dad, and I just really loved it. Next I have Spy, super funny Melissa McCarthy movie. This Means More, a movie I have not seen. Thor Ragnarok, one of the greatest Marvel movies ever made. Town, a really intense thriller. Toy Story 4, one of the greatest animated movies of the decade. Trainwreck, a really funny Amy Schumer comedy with Bill Hader that I just thought the chemistry between those two made the film even better. The Transporter, a great Jason Statham action movie. Trolls, a good DreamWorks, feel-good, emotional, animated movie to watch with family. Truth or Dare, the worst movie ever made. The Upside, an okay comedy that had a few laughs but didn't really wow me. And Us, a terrifying movie that just had me like in the back of my seat, like backing away from the screen like something's gonna pop out at me. But super good. Next, getting to the last part of my movie collection, I have Venom, a great action movie that I really didn't understand why the hate was about. The visuals in this were really good, especially with Venom. Although the CGI was kind of obvious, it was pretty good. What Men Want, an enjoyable comedy movie with Taraji P. Henson that honestly, Taraji P. Henson was the only funny part of this movie, but I still enjoyed it. Wonder, a kind of sad family movie, but really uplifting at the same time. It really shows you that anybody can be accepted as anything, no matter if they're different or normal, even though I hate that word. Normal is such an awful word, but this is just a really fun movie. Next, I have the last DC Universe movie, Wonder Woman Bloodlines. It was okay. I did enjoy some of the action sequences, but the villains didn't really make any sense, and the character arcs in this were a mess. Next, I have This Monstrosity. And lastly, I have X-Men Dark Phoenix, which honestly surprised me. X-Men movies are known for not being too good, but this one did wow me, and the visuals were just perfect in 4K. So yeah, that was my 2020 movie collection. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you would like, and I will see you maybe tomorrow. I might do a video tomorrow, but it's all depending on my schedule, but definitely next week because I have something incredible planned for you guys, and I am super excited about that video. But till then, bye. I am moving with movies, and I hope you enjoyed my 2020 movie collection.